So let me ask you about something that you said at the debate last week. You used the phrase inside job to describe what happened on January 6th.
We do have a government, first of all, we have to acknowledge, that has lied to us systematically over the last several years about the origin of COVID-19, about the Hunter Biden laptop that we were told was false by 51 CIA experts and otherwise before we now know that it was true. You can go straight down the list, the Trump-Russia disinformation collusion hoax, all of it. Now we come to January 6th. The reality is we know that there were federal law enforcement agents in that field. We don't know how many. I think it's shameful. If I may finish just answering your question. This is really important.
I'm going to go ahead and interrupt you here because
I know the establishment doesn't approve of this message. I know this, but we should be able to talk about this.
You're saying that there were federal agents.
This is important to talk about.
You are saying there were federal agents in the crowd on January 6th.
Yep.
There is no evidence that there were federal agents in the crowd on January 6th.
So why, before Congress, when pressed on what the number was, they didn't say there were none? They just couldn't say how many there were.
So you're saying that that you have not seen any evidence that there were.
We've seen multiple informants suggesting that there were. We know people were FBI informants who were asked to do this.
Is there any evidence?
May I just finish this, and you can come back to the question?
But let me clarify.
I know it's very uncomfortable for you.
I'm going to clarify my question.
I know this is an uncomfortable issue for many people, but we have to do the truth here.
I'm going to clarify my question because I want to make sure that you understand what I'm asking.
I understand this deeply. And I told you, I was with you 3 years ago. I'm not there now.
Where is the evidence?
Yes.
Where is the evidence that the government had a plot?
So let's do this.
An inside job.
But no, I'm going to tell you what an inside job is, because I'm not
violence on January 6th.
I'm not going to let you put words in my mouth. I'm going to put my words in my mouth. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that.
Where is the evidence that the government was involved in planning or executing January 6th?
So I'm going to give you hard facts. And if I may, Abby, I know this is going to be a little uncomfortable, but we're going to go through this, and you can push back on it after that. And you can push back on that. And let's do this fairly. Why did they suppress footage of now what's been released, 200 hours of footage of shooting rubber bullets into that crowd, shooting tear gas into that crowd? You didn't see that before. You saw what the response was to that. Now you see footage coming out of actually rolling out the red carpet for Capitol Police allowing people in,
again,
right through the front door.
The vast majority of the footage
evidence should have been released before, Abby.
Mr. Ramaswamy, the vast majority of the footage shows police officers being overrun
and I want to talk about one more
by
case.
violent
this is really important.
rioters. That's
I'm going to give you some hard facts.
Of it shows.
So here's what entrapment is.
Cherry pick.
I'm not cherry picking. If I may finish, Abby. If I may finish, Abby. I'm not cherry picking.
Examples.
To the contrary. To the contrary. You know who cherry picked? You know who cherry picked? The government.
That is what happened.
The government cherry picked 12 hours of footage when there was 200 hours of footage. So cherry picking was the government, not me. Release the whole thing. And let me just finish one thing too, because this is super important as a topic.
So
I think this is a civil libertarian issue of our time. Gretchen Whitmer's kidnapping. I want to be really clear on this, because it's the same issue in the same FBI, same even part of the FBI. 3 people who were in an alleged plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer were acquitted at the end of trial because it was entrapment. That is, government agents put them up to do something they otherwise wouldn't have done. Same thing with the Capitol Police. People letting them in freely. Many of those people then being charged.
Look,
the government cannot put you up to do something and then charge you for it. That's wrong.
I don't want to have
to the left or the right.
Woo! Okay, Vivek going for the head of this reporter in CNN. This is uploaded by the DC Shorts. Look, I don't know all the ins and outs of what happened on January 6th. I do know what the conspiracy theorists are saying. And when I say conspiracy theorists, I don't mean like, oh, crazy wacko people in the basement that don't know what they're talking about. I mean that these are theories that have been released that this was an inside job, that the government kind of wanted this to happen and guided these protesters into certain areas and then shot rubber bullets and tear gas to try to rile them up and then get the footage of that when it was like mostly peaceful. It's weird how like when it's BLM burning down buildings, it's mostly peaceful, but when you have like hours and hours of footage of Trump supporters just peacefully walking through a government building, that's violent rioters. I like when he said the cherry picking thing. No, it was the media who cherry picked the footage that they wanted to show. It was to sensationalize what actually really happened. And I think most protesters, even if you're on the left, if you're a progressive or activist, you can agree with this, because a lot of activists and a lot of protesters have said and claimed that the police will start something. They will push, they will shove, they'll tear gas, rubber bullets to try to get people riled up so they have an excuse to arrest them, and then they capture that footage to make it seem like a mostly peaceful protest was actually indeed violent. We all know the conspiracy theories that went around during the Black Lives Matters this Summer of Love, where they were sitting like piles of bricks out into the streets, hoping that someone will pick it up and throw it into a glass building or a glass window. Now, no one's forcing people to break windows, but they were giving them the ammunition and the tools, hoping it would happen, right? For what? So they can arrest people, so they can make it look more damaging or violent than it really was, so they can get the footage, so they can destroy those neighborhoods. I don't really know, but this has been a talking point from most people who's ever been a part of a protest or been activists that turned into a riot. A lot of people will whisper and say the police is the one who started this. So this is not a brand new thing, but for some reason when it comes from the right, nobody wants to talk about it. But do I for sure know that there was government agents in the audience and in the crowd? If people were it was entrapment. Now, I don't know those things to be true, but it rings true to me. You can't spend years and years and years of doing things to garner the mistrust of the public and then ask us to just take your word for it, when it's been time and time and time proven that you lie, or you hide the truth, or you don't tell the whole story, that you color up the truth, that is sensationalism. We can't trust you. There was footage or some evidence of police officers removing the barricades so people can walk through and get into the government building, the Capitol building. So I don't know if everything he's saying is true, but it rings true to me. But anyway, let's continue the video.
I don't want to have to interrupt you. I really don't. But I don't want you to mislead the audience here or at home.
I think they've been misled by the mainstream media.
14 people.
The mainstream media has misled them.
14 people were charged in that plot. A majority of them were convicted.
I said 3 of them were acquitted on grounds of entrapment. That's a fact. Dispute me. Was I wrong about that?
What folks need to understand.
Was I wrong about what I said?
I was not. Need to understand
3 people were acquitted on grounds of entrapment.
9 were
convicted. A juror apologized.
9 were convicted.
Yeah, but the 3 who were put up should have never got to that stage of a trial.
The January 6th
That's unacceptable in the United States.
Look, I just want people to understand. 3 people were acquitted. 9 people were convicted in that plot. But let me get back to our audience here.
We will use our own military to secure our own border. Right now, we can use it to secure somebody else's border. Let's use it to secure our own southern border and our northern border, too. Don't forget about that. Complete the border wall. Stop federal aid to any Central American country until they have secured their own borders for every country between Venezuela and Mexico. Then I want to implement, I would say, the best border policies of all, which is ending the illegal incentives to be here. End birthright citizenship for the kids of illegal migrants to whom the 14th Amendment does not apply. End federal funding to sanctuary cities. Many people skip this one, but this one's the hard one. I do believe that anybody who's in this country illegally needs to be returned to their country of origin. Not because they're all bad people. In fact, many of them are good people. Many of them, if we're being honest, if we were in their shoes and there's a president of the United States who's been giving them a wink and a nod to come on over, if we were in a tough spot, maybe we would have done the same thing. So this is not a value judgment about those people. It's a value judgment about this country. We're founded on the rule of law. We don't need new laws. The existing law, it's called 287G. It allows you to actually serve an ICE agent to allow local law enforcement across this country to serve their warrants. That's 1 million law enforcement officers. We can then get that done. But again, all it takes is a president with the spine. And if I swear an oath to the Constitution, I intend to keep it. I hope my best days are still ahead of me. And I think as a leader, I reject this narrative that we have to be that nation in decline, that we have to be ancient Rome. I think our nation, like you, is actually a little young. Going through our own version of adolescence. Figuring out who we're going to be when we grow up. And when you view it that way, it all makes sense again. To me, it does. You go through that identity crisis. You lose your way a little bit. I don't know about you, but I did some stupid things, right? But we're stronger for it when we get to our adulthood on the other side. So no, I don't think we have to be that nation in decline. And tell the people in your class the same thing. We can still be a nation in our ascent.
Hey, that was Vivek. Okay, so The interrupting that the CNN reporter were doing in the beginning was really, really maddening. Like, it was annoying, and it actually just makes people lean more into the conspiracy theory that you want to silence the truth because you like wouldn't let him get a fucking sentence out and kept trying to reword his sentence to make it seem like he was saying something that he's not, so you can get a gotcha, so you can get a headline from him and blast that all over the newspaper. That was really annoying. The whole immigration issue, there is a mass migration epidemic going on in the States right now. I would support ending the birth right citizenship that's going on in the U.S. right now. No, most countries don't do this, by the way. Just because you're born there doesn't mean you become a citizen of that country, especially if the person is there illegally. I'm all for ending that. However, sending everyone back who entered America illegally, I don't think is okay, because some people have been in America for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. You should give them a way to become a citizen. Like, okay, if there's proof that you've been here for a certain amount of time, you've been given into the economy, you've been working, you've been a good citizen of America, you have maybe paid your taxes or whatever, then you can take a certain test, the same test that a lot of people try to become citizens of America have to take, and you have to do certain things, then you could become an American citizen. I think that's fair. Trying to kick everybody out who's been in there for decades, where America is their home, they don't speak any other country but English, they don't know anything else but America, I think that's not okay. If you've been here for a few months, a few years, if you have criminal record, if you've been a deadbeat, a moocher, maybe you can go back. But if people who've been good citizens, abiding citizens of America, and they've been here most of their life, I think they should be able to stay, and there should be a certain sort of way, some sort of pathways for them to become a citizenship. I think we need to finish the wall. I need to take that shit seriously. And there need to be more tech and more advancements in securing the border. And the whole holding sanctions against countries who don't secure their own borders, I'm so for that. And I also think if progressives, if the left, if the woke, or even human beings who have any empathy like me, who care about these people, we should put our boot on the neck of those people to uplift the standard of living for those people so they will stay in those countries. You know what I mean? I am against America being the world police to a certain extent. I don't think sanctions are bad. Military action, I'm not for when it comes to the America being the world's police. But if you care about the standard of living for these people in Venezuela and stuff like that, then we can do certain things to pressure those governments to treat their citizens better so they're not coming over here. So I agree with that as well. And I also agree with, I think he said, pulling federal funding back from states that have sanctuary cities. Pulling federal funding from sanctuary cities, I also think is a good idea. Again, if those people in those states have a bleeding heart for these immigrants who want to come over and have a better life, which I totally understand, and I would do the same thing if I had the opportunity, but if you want to help them, do it. Put your own money into it. It should be privately funded. It should be a charity, a nonprofit. Put your own money into it to help these people out if that's what you see fit. Because when people have to sacrifice their own shit to help others out, then that's when I kind of start stepping back. If they can just blindly not even pay attention to the migration problem because they're not attached to it and they don't have to put any money out of their own pocket, it's easy to say yes, open borders. Anywho, let me know what you guys think of the Vivek and this whole CNN debacle in the comment section below. What things do you agree with him and what things you disagree with him? Let me know in the comment section below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell to get notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And you can donate. It helps keep me on this platform. And you guys have an amazing, beautiful day. Bye.
So let me ask you about something that you said at the debate last week. You used the phrase inside job to describe what happened on January 6th.
We do have a government